Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into a real crisis in perception. Why is it that you can have a perfectly clear conversation and people will walk away with completely different conclusions? We're going to find out by diving into the book Surrounded by Idiots by Thomas Erikson. You know that feeling, right? You say one thing, but they hear something else, something totally different. But what if the problem isn't the people you're talking to? What if it's the hidden system we're all communicating inside of? That provocative title is really asking a much deeper question. So Erikson basically flips the script on us. He suggests that maybe, just maybe, the problem isn't with everyone else. It might be with our own perception, our failure to see that people operate on fundamentally different wavelengths. And that right there is the crisis in perception we're exploring. The idea that all these miscommunications and arguments aren't just random personality clashes. Nope. They are predictable outcomes that happen because we are all operating inside completely different and usually invisible behavioral systems. Okay, so let's get into this system. Erikson uses this great analogy. Think of it like radio frequencies. If you're broadcasting on FM and the other person is trying to listen on an AM receiver, it doesn't matter how loud or clear you are, the message is just going to be static. The actual framework he's using here is called the DISC model. It's a tool that helps us decode why people do what they do by sorting our behaviors into four main patterns. And to make it easy, he represents them with four simple colors. And here's a quick breakdown. You've got reds, who are all about results and speed. Then there are the yellows, who prioritize enthusiasm and connecting with people. Greens are focused on harmony and stability. And finally, blues, who value logic and precision above all else. Each color is tuned to a completely different frequency. All right, so let's actually meet these four archetypes. And I bet as we go through these, you're going to start picturing people you know, and hey, maybe even yourself. Okay, first up, the reds. These are your ambitious, results-driven leaders. They are all about action and efficiency. Their main goal is to get from A to B as fast as humanly possible. They see a challenge, and they just want to get it done. Yesterday. But, and this is the key, here's where that perception gap really opens up. To someone on a different frequency, that efficiency can feel like pure aggression. Their decisiveness can come off as controlling, and that frank, direct communication, it can feel like they're just trampling all over your feelings. Next, let's talk about the yellows. These are the social butterflies, the optimists, the people who thrive on interaction and big new ideas. They're amazing storytellers who bring the energy and creativity to any room they walk into. However, all that wonderful enthusiasm has a flip side. To other colors, a yellow's constant talking can feel like they're sucking all the air out of the room. They can be seen as really bad listeners who seem way more interested in telling their story than in hearing yours. And that brings us to the greens. These are the calm, steady, reliable team players. Honestly, they're the bedrock of any group. They value relationships, stability, and a peaceful environment more than anything. They are incredible listeners and super supportive colleagues. But you can probably guess the potential issue here, right? That deep need for stability can make greens seem incredibly resistant to change. A new idea that gets a yellow super excited might send a green running for the hills. Their need to avoid conflict at all costs can look a lot like passivity. And last but not least, we have the blues. Blues are the careful, analytical thinkers. They need logic, they need facts. Before they make a move, they need all the data. They are incredibly meticulous, super precise, and they will catch every single detail that the rest of us miss. But all that precision and focus on what could go wrong can feel really negative to the other colors. A blue's quest for quality can be seen as pessimistic nitpicking. Their need for facts can come across as suspicion, and they often deliver their perfectly logical points in a way that just feels cold and insensitive. Okay, so now that we've met the whole cast of characters, let's see what happens when you put them in a room together. This is where it gets really interesting because you start to see how these communication styles are almost designed to clash. So imagine this. A red manager thinks they're giving super clear, honest, efficient feedback, just getting right to the point. But the green employee on the receiving end, they don't hear efficiency, they hear a stressful, aggressive personal attack. It's the exact same words, but they land in two completely different realities. Or how about this? Picture a meeting. A yellow throws out this huge, awesome, exciting new idea. They're all about the vision, the energy, but the blue in the room, their radio is tuned to a totally different station. They hear that idea and immediately think, But how? They have a million critical questions. And just like that, the yellow feels totally shut down, while the blue just thinks they're being responsible. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, the point isn't just to stick labels on people. It's about seeing the system itself. It's like seeing the code behind the program. Once you see it, you suddenly have a powerful tool to fix the bugs in your communication. The book's advice is actually pretty simple. You learn how to adapt. First, try to figure out their primary color. Then, think about what they actually value. And then, you adjust your message to match their frequency. It's not about being fake, it's about being understood. And that brings us right back to the beginning. This idea completely reframes that feeling of being surrounded by idiots. A communication breakdown isn't a personality flaw in you or in them. It's just a structural mismatch of styles. It's a failure to tune to the right frequency. So the question to leave you with isn't, who are the idiots around you? The real question is, which frequencies have you not been tuning into? Because once you start seeing the system, you stop seeing idiots. You start seeing people, and that can change everything.